Welcome back, fellow grievers. This episode, I'm going to talk about when you finally open up to somebody, you share about your grief, and their response is found to be wanting. So, welcome back, fellow grievers. And this is something that happens so often in grief. And one of the biggest reasons why I find people just shut down, pull away, and they don't ever deal with their grief is because when you do finally open up to somebody, when you do decide to confide in somebody on how hard it's been, on what you've been going through, their response is either kind of cliche or generic, or you feel dismissed. And so then you kind of backpedal. You're like, okay, that was awful. I'm not going to talk to anybody because nobody wants to hear about this. So I just come today saying that is not true. There are people who want to hear about it. There are people who understand, but the person that you confided with or opened up to maybe isn't the right person. And so when I've talked to actually a couple people this week about this topic, so that's why I was like, okay, I want to do another episode about this one because I do think that it just adds so much to the pain that we are already going through. Grief is such a vulnerable thing. It throws everything in our world upside down. And when you're finally like, okay, I'm going to be brave, I'm going to be vulnerable, I'm going to reach out to somebody, and they respond in a way that can often be dismissive, it can be hurtful, it can be just kind of like a, okay. Like all of that just feels like, okay, I just handed somebody my heart and they stomped on it. Like, I know for me, it was one of the things I just kept like, I just couldn't understand why, specifically my husband was just like, why are you responding to this? You know how hurt I am. You know how much I'm struggling. And your response is you want to fix it or you want to push it away. And we shouldn't talk about it. I should just be happy. I should be moved on. It's been X amount of months. And that was something when I finally figured out how to communicate better about my grief, he started to respond better. I will talk a little bit about that later on in this episode. But first, I want to talk about really how to kind of pause and be like, okay, so I confided in a friend, and their response was maybe something like, well, they're in a better place. Well, you don't know how lucky you have it. You like, why are you upset about this? We we weren't that close to this person, right? Like some sort of response that you're like, ugh, like that hurt. So you pull away. Their response, so we have a nervous system response, right? When somebody says that, we instantly have a nervous system response. And most of the time, what I see are people want to have a flight response in their grief because it's like, okay, I put it all out there, I shared something. People didn't respond, so I'm going to flee. I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to protect my heart. And so I want you to see that about yourself. I want you to see that you are having a nervous system response. And so I will talk you through how to kind of bring down the nervous system response so you can process, you can handle what just happened. But I want to talk first about the person who said the thing, right? Who said they're in a better place, or God only gives us what we can handle, or, well, I mean, they were old, right? Like those responses, the reason people say those things, and I find it helpful just to remind myself of this occasionally. I still am upset about what they said. I'm still mad about it, but it helps me not to spiral and dwell on it. What I have found is most of the time, for one, somebody has never experienced the grief that you're going through, or even anything remotely close to it. So they just, one, truly, truly just don't understand. Just like we don't look at people who don't have kids and be like, well, of course they should know how to parent. Like, no, they don't because they don't understand. You can read all the books you want about it, but until you're kind of in the midst of parenting and raising kids, you just don't understand it. You can see snippets about it, you can be compassionate, but it's different. And so when we have grief, the people who just they've never gone through it, they don't understand. That really truly is the response that they think they should give, right? They've probably read it somewhere or heard it, and they're like, oh, well, this will comfort them. And so, for one, they just are a bit ignorant in that they've just never had that life experience yet. We all will experience it at some point in time, but they haven't yet. So, therefore, they don't really know what feels good or what doesn't. The second thing I often notice is when people give these kinds of responses is because they have had a grief experience. They have had something on that level of your pain and they have not dealt with it. So they don't want to acknowledge you being uncomfortable because it brings up all of their uncomfortable feelings about it. They think, well, if we just don't talk about it, we don't acknowledge it, we don't have to deal with it. So they shouldn't do that because this is what helps me. I just ignore it. So they should do that. Right? Or they just don't really know, like, they probably don't even recognize that they're really doing that. And so they've just never dealt with it. Again, our human brain looks at pain and suffering as bad. And so we're like, we got to get out of there as fast as possible, like abort, retreat, like get out. And so that's what they're doing. You can almost see, like, once you become aware of that, it's like you can almost see the panic. Like, it's almost like on a vehicle, if you hit like the panic, the flasher lights, like you can almost see them like, like, okay, well, things happen for a reason. See you later. But like, you can almost see it happening. And so, that doesn't mean that everybody that you come across or talk to will have that response, but most people do because most people fall in the one or two categories, right? Where they've never had that kind of experience, so they just don't know what to say or do, or they have had that kind of experience and they've never dealt with their own pain, so they for sure cannot handle or see your kind of pain because it's too painful for them. And so what I like to tell people is to shop around almost, right? Like when people are shopping, like we tell people now, like I think when therapy counseling first kind of came to the forefront, a while ago, it was like you found one in your area, that's when you went to. Now it's like, well, you want to shop around because what this therapist over here says maybe doesn't line up with like my beliefs or who I am as a person, just their personality in general is just very, very different from me. Maybe they're like a more reserved, so they don't want to even be really more aggressive, right? In the therapy session of like attacking it head on. Um, or you might have something over here who's like, yep, okay, here's the issue, here's our attack plan, here's what we're gonna do, here's your homework, right? Like, and so there's different variables. There's different ways that them as a human shows up. There's different training that people have. There's all sorts of different things. And so with therapy, counseling now, they tell you to shop around, right? Same with coaching. What one person really likes in a coach, I might not like in a coach. And so to shop around to find one that works for you, I say the same thing when you are grieving. You kind of need to shop around and see which of your family members and friends, coworkers are your person. So when you bring something or you say something and somebody has one of those responses that doesn't sit well with you, really makes you upset, I want you to look at that instead of saying like, "Oh, nobody understands what I'm going through. Nobody gets it." I want you to look at that and say, "Oh, they're just not my person to confide in right now." Right? They might be the other person later down the road when you need like a night out or something, like they're your person. But for right now, you're like, I just really need to be held. I need space for my feelings to come into the room and take up most of the airspace. That's what I need right now. So that person is not my person right now, but I'm going to keep looking. I'm going to keep shopping. I'm going to find the person who makes me feel safe, who makes me feel seen and loved, who really holds me in this time of what I need. And so I say that to recognize just again, what our brain wants to do. It wants to say, like, oh my gosh, everybody's going to respond this way. Run, like, there's more pain on top of already your pain. But that's not true. There are people that will respond appropriately, that will hold you through this. And so I just want you to hear that there is hope, that you don't have to keep stuffing down the feelings. I also, so I'll put in a little plug for myself here. If you feel like, no, I've tried that, none of my friends, none of my family, I really truly am alone, I have nobody, go and book your free consult call with me and come and talk to me. CatholicGriefCoach.com. But I also want to talk about what we can do when we feel dismissed or pushed away, right? So we were very vulnerable. We talked to this family member, friend, coworker, like, oh, this person will get it because they had this loss. And then they don't, and you feel worse. And often what happens is we kind of start to spiral, right? We can be angry at them, we can be upset, we'll be like, well, how could they do that, right? So that's why I just want you to understand where they're coming from. But also, I want you to leave here feeling like, oh, and I can do this for myself too. So when we have this kind of interaction that leaves us, we are left wanting, right? When we have that, what I want you to do is I want you to go home and I want you to, it is helpful if you can write things down because our brain really does process things differently when we can put them in writing. But if not, just find a quiet space or maybe on your car ride home tonight after work, be like, okay, why am I so upset by this? Why am I so bothered? And it might be something like, nobody understands me. Nobody understands the pain I'm going through. I'm all alone. I just have to figure this out, right? Some probably variation of that. And I want you to look at kind of what, you come up with. And I want you to say, okay, but that's not true. For one, I'm not alone because I can always, if there's nobody else, feel like I don't want to talk to a coach, I don't want to go to therapy, I don't want to find anybody. There's always Jesus. And I know that it feels kind of corny to say that, but every time that I have like lamented and let it all out and kind of complained and moaned to him, I feel so much better. If I'm angry at Jesus and I'm like, I don't even want to talk to you, I go to Mother Mary and she always hears me. So I just want you to see like so much of it is real, right? It is real in our mind, but so much it's just that it's in our mind and it gets trapped in there. And so if we don't get it out somewhere, it can just fester and cause us more pain. And so to really say it somewhere, write it down, talk to Jesus about it, talk to Mama Mary, and give it to them. That always helps me. But then to go the next step further and to really vocalize and be like, okay, I want to understand my own grief. The more that I've understood my grief, what does upset me, why I am so upset, the more I understand that, the better I can express it to other people and express it in a way that's, I'm like, hey, I am having a really hard day. This is what I'm feeling. This is specifically what I need. And and then I feel relief, right? Because I know that either that person will show up and care for me in that way, or I can do those things for myself. So for an example, so okay, a couple days ago, I was pretty upset about something. Um, I was pretty, I would say probably sad with for the um overlying more prominent feeling. I was feeling sad, but kind of frustrated. I didn't really express it in a good way to my husband. I was short-tempered. I was like, well, you're not hearing me, right? I just kept saying that, like, you're not hearing me. You're not hearing me. He's like, I do hear you. But So once I kind of got away from the situation, I realized like, okay, I'm really upset because I feel like nobody saw me. I had expressed that I wanted to go to a place. I felt like I gave everybody else what they wanted and needed for that day. Nobody saw me, nobody cared for me, and I felt sad. I kind of felt a little bit of like neglect going on. And instead of pausing and seeing that and expressing in a way that was good and calm and more peaceful, I got upset, I got quiet. And so really when we can see like, okay, like I'm sad. Well, why am I sad? I'm sad because I don't feel like anybody cares for me. I'm sad because I feel like I give of myself all the time and I ask for one simple thing and nobody could be bothered to follow through on that. Right? Like all these things kind of ran through my mind. So then when I see that, okay, I acknowledge that I see that, then it's like, okay, I can look at that and how could I have done things differently? Well, I could have just said, hey, this is our hard cutoff time because I want to go do this thing and they close at this time. This is what I need today. So we're going to make that happen. We can always drive back over here if we want to come back to your guys' thing. I could have done that, like in hindsight, right? I could have set an alarm on my phone. I could have, when I communicated to my husband, this is what I want to do, I could have been like, hey, can you look up the time they close and be in track of making sure we leave at this place at this time so I get over there. I could have communicated that ahead of time. So how it kind of played out was like I could see why I was upset. I could see what I could have done to kind of prevent the situation to begin with. But then when I communicate it now, I just want to be like, hey, I want to tell you why I'm upset. I want you to repeat back to me what you hear me say. And I want you to just be like, yeah, I'm sorry. Like, I can see how you felt that way. And this summer, I didn't have to tell my husband that like that's what I needed. He just did that because I've been practicing this so much over the last few years of trying to communicate calmer. And so he just saw that was like, oh my gosh, I'm so like when I started getting kind of quiet and I started to like withdraw, he was like, I'm so sorry. Like, and he like dropped everything. He's like, nope, we're going there. Like, we're gonna get you there. Like, so we did get there a little bit. But anyway, it worked out. But the thing that really soothed my heart was that he saw, oh, like this was important to her. I didn't make it important to me, and I'm sorry for that. And he acknowledged that. And so, but we've only gotten to that place because I've worked so hard on seeing my grief for what it is, really dialing in, tuning into what I'm feeling, and in my feelings, what I need to feel loved and cared for. And so I say this all to be like, those steps will help you tremendously. But we can never see what we don't see, right? We can't acknowledge what we don't even know is there, which is why it is so helpful to hire a coach. Because the things that you come to me and talk about, you don't even know those are running through your mind until you say them out loud to me. And you're like, oh, I didn't realize that that's why I've been so upset. Well, that's an easy fix. I just need to set a timer on my phone. Or I just need to make sure that I plan out my next day. Because the reason I'm so upset is I start the day behind and then my grief feels like it's overwhelming. Like just little simple things. Because I promise you, I will never give you so many things and so many things to work on that like it's overwhelming and you just stop. I give you little bite-sized things, one little thing at a time. The other beautiful thing about working with me is that it's individualized to you. A lot of group coaching are not group, grief groups that you might find like at a church, at a community place. Like it's most of the time, like that's fine. But is somebody just talking? And what I have found is most of the time it's the ones that talk are the ones that talk the whole time. It's almost like there's no space for anybody else. And so a coaching is different than that. You're allowed to talk, but then we also move the needle forward on you feeling better, on you feeling hope again. And so I just hope that you guys, I'm always praying for you guys. But I hope that you feel so truly when you listen to these podcasts that you feel loved and you feel seen and you don't feel alone. And again, I just welcome you to go to catholicgriefcoach.com and book a free consult call. Those are there. Again, they are 100% free. There's no obligation. Of course, I will talk about because I want you to continue. I want you to continue healing and getting hope. But if you're like, no, I don't want to hear about further coaching, I'm just coming for the free one, 100%. For 30 minutes, you have me. There will be no judgment, no anything. It's just a time for you to come and feel hopeful. So please, please, please take advantage of that. I want everybody to take advantage of that. It's so truly amazing, and you will feel so amazing after you leave. All right. But as always, I'm praying for you. You are so loved. And let's take the next steps together.